The coffee cup slipped from my trembling hands, splattering brown stains across Nora's pristine white marble floor. At 68, I stood in my son's home, no longer a mother-in-law but an unpaid maid. Nora's voice sliced through the morning silence. Maggie, get that disgusting mess off the floor before my CEO arrives tonight. Her 42nd birthday was today, and she'd invited her biggest client for dinner. Clean everything, cook a proper meal, serve us, then leave, she ordered, her tone as cold as the stone beneath my feet. 2 years ago, when my husband Robert died suddenly, I thought my son David would be my rock. I was wrong. Mom, you can't manage that big house alone, he'd said, his concern masking something I couldn't yet name. Nora and I have space. It'll be perfect. Perfect. That word was my first warning. The sale of my home happened fast, handled by David while I drowned in grief and paperwork. We'll take care of you, he promised. But care and control, I learned, were not the same. The first month in their home felt like a visit. Nora smiled when David was around, even cooked my favorite pot roast once. But when he traveled for work, her mask slipped. Maggie, since you're not working, maybe help with the dishes. Became, the kitchen's a disaster. Clean it up. Requests turned to orders. My guest room became a prison. My cherished china cabinet, built by Robert for our 20th anniversary, vanished because it clashed with the aesthetic. David noticed but said nothing, clearing his throat and leaving the room whenever Nora snapped at me. This morning, her birthday, the truth hit me. Nora didn't want a mother-in-law. She wanted free domestic help. I've invited James Mitchell from Mitchell and Associates, she announced over breakfast. This contract could make my career. Everything must be perfect. Serve dinner at 7, then disappear. The coffee cup fell not from arthritis, but from her casual cruelty. Look what you've done, she shrieked, critiquing my cleanup as I knelt on the floor. At 68, I was scrubbing stains while she berated me like a child. Something shifted as I cleaned. Robert's voice echoed in my mind. Maggie, never let anyone make you feel small. I was about to learn some stains can't be wiped away. And some recognitions change everything. The afternoon blurred with scrubbing, polishing, and cooking for Nora's career-defining dinner. Every surface had to gleam, every napkin ironed. Did you set the table with the good china? Nora barked, arranging flowers that cost more than my medications. My china now, Maggie, she added. Everything here belongs to David and me. The word stung. I owned nothing here. I'd sold my house to help with their down payment, trusting David's promise of a home. Foolishly, I'd believed words over contracts. David appeared, offering forced cheer. Looks great, Mom, but Nora cut in. Your mother's been working all day. I hope she has energy to serve properly. David's jaw tightened, but his phone buzzed, and he retreated. Your mother can handle everything, Nora said sweetly, her eyes hard. By 5 p.m. I was exhausted, hands raw from scrubbing grout with a toothbrush, because Nora deemed the bathroom not quite perfect. Go change into something decent, she ordered. No awkward small talk about your medications or Robert's war stories. In my room, I slipped into my navy dress from David and Nora's wedding 7 years ago. The mirror showed a stranger thin, shoulders curved, eyes dull. 2 years of grief and 18 months of diminishment had erased the confident woman I'd been. Downstairs, Nora's voice rang out, Maggie, get down here! Smile, for heaven's sake. You look like you're at a funeral. I was at a funeral, for my dignity, my place in my son's life. The doorbell rang at 7 sharp. I opened the door, my practiced smile ready for another client who'd ignore me. But the man on the doorstep stopped me cold. Silver hair, deep brown eyes, a jawline softened by time but unmistakable. James Mitchell, the man who destroyed my life 39 years ago. Oh my God, he whispered, his briefcase slipping. Aren't you? Good evening, Mr. Mitchell. Nora interrupted, radiating charm. Welcome. I see you've met my mother-in-law. James's face paled, then flushed, emotions flickering like old film reels. Yes, he managed. We've met. I forced my voice to work. Please come in. He moved past me like I might shatter him. Nora, oblivious, offered scotch. Our fingers brushed as I took his coat, and he flinched like I'd burned him. 39 years ago, I was a 29-year-old paralegal, desperate to support my 6-year-old son, David, after Robert's construction accident left him disabled. James, a junior associate at Hartwell Kingston and Associates, was charming, sophisticated, married to the senior partner's daughter. He offered help with David's medical bills, then more. I was flattered, foolish. Our affair lasted 4 months, long enough for me to fall in love, to believe his promises of leaving his wife. When she found out, James claimed I'd seduced him, threatened harassment claims. His father-in-law believed him. I was fired, blacklisted from legal work, forced to switch to nursing. Robert never knew why. I told him I wanted to help people heal, never admitting I was the one broken. Now in Nora's living room, I served canapes while she pitched her marketing strategies. James accepted one without looking, his hand trembling. Your mother-in-law, he said carefully. She's been with you long. About 18 months. Nora replied. She needed somewhere after losing her house. Family obligation. Lost her house. A simple phrase for the financial ruin after Robert's death. Medical bills, funeral costs, a reverse mortgage I didn't understand. James's eyes met mine. Family relationships can be complicated. At dinner, I served prime rib with invisible efficiency. James watched me, his fork hovering. This looks incredible. He said, eyes on me, not the food. Maggie's full of surprises. Nora said, you'd never guess she worked in law offices before nursing. His fork clattered. Which firm? He asked, voice neutral but tense. It was a long time ago, I said. Nursing was more fulfilling. Admirable. He murmured, helping people heal instead of fighting legal battles. The words were a slap, reminding me what he'd taken, my career, my trust, my belief in justice. Some battles aren't worth fighting, I replied, meeting his gaze. He understood. I wasn't exposing him. Not yet. Nora dismissed me to clear plates. In the hallway, James grabbed my arm. We need to talk. I pulled away. That conversation happened 39 years ago. You made your position clear. Please, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. You threw me to the wolves to save yourself. His voice dropped. My wife was 3 months pregnant. She threatened to hurt herself if I admitted the affair was mutual. Her father would have destroyed me. The revelation hit like a blow. I hadn't known about the pregnancy. So you made me the villain. I was 31 and terrified. He said, I made a terrible mistake, and I paid for it. Nora called out, and I left him in the hallway, my hands shaking. Dinner passed in a blur. I served dessert, poured champagne, and cleaned while Nora sealed her deal. James barely ate, signing the agreement with steady hands but haunted eyes. To new partnerships. He toasted, looking at me. And second chances. What did he mean? In the kitchen, David appeared, loosening his tie. How dinner do fine? I said. Nora's pleased. He hesitated. About earlier. When Nora was giving you instructions, I know she's particular. Particular. A gentle word for cruelty. Your wife has high standards. I said diplomatically. He shifted. Maybe we could make household responsibilities fairer. After 18 months, he was finally noticing. But it was too late. Nora called me to see James out. He stood in the hall, coat on, his voice low. Maggie, I meant what I said about needing to talk. There are things you don't know about what I did afterward. After you destroyed my career, what could matter now? When David needed surgery, I don't take credit for my son's recovery. I snapped. Doubt crept in. An anonymous donation had covered David's surgery at 8. Insurance settlements, contracts for Robert's business. Had James been involved? Good night, Mr. Mitchell, I said, closing the door. His taillights faded, but questions lingered. Had he been helping us secretly? Why, the next morning, Nora glowed with triumph. James Mitchell could transform my business. She said, Eating yogurt I'd prepared. You were quiet last night. I hope you weren't intimidated. I was focused on service, I replied. Well, you did adequately. Smile more next time. After she left, I cleaned David's study, surrounded by law books that reminded me of my lost career. I'd been good at legal work, sharp, intuitive. James had praised my skills before he betrayed me. The phone rang. Maggie, it's James. My grip tightened. How did you get this number? Directory assistance. There's more you need to know about what happened after. Nothing justifies what you did. My wife threatened to hurt herself and our unborn child. I chose her life over our reputations, but I never stopped caring. I hung up, his words echoing. Had I been sacrificed for more than his career? Did he really try to help afterward? For the first time, my narrative felt incomplete. 3 days later, I called James. We need to meet. Not at the house. Murphy's Cafe, 2 p.m., he suggested. Murphy's, my refuge 39 years ago when I'd lost everything. Hadn't changed. Red vinyl booths, coffee and grilled cheese. James looked out of place in his suit. You look good, he said. Strong. Appearances deceive, I replied. You taught me that. He winced. I deserve worse. He pulled out a folder. After you left the firm, I made inquiries to ensure you were okay. This is a hospital record from David's surgery. The anonymous donation, $25,000, was me. My coffee cup slipped. You. Also your nursing school tuition, a few contracts for Robert's business. Not often, just when things were tight. How did you know? A nurse from David's pediatric unit mentioned struggling families. When your name came up, I stared at the documents, hands trembling. Why? Because I loved you. Because you deserved better. Tears threatened. You think money erases what you did? No. But I hoped it helped. He slid another document across. My company needs a senior client relations manager. Your legal background, your strength. It's perfect. The salary was staggering. Enough for my own apartment, independence. This is guilt money. Yes, he admitted, but it's also genuine. You need freedom. I need someone I trust. I need time, I said, leaving before temptation overwhelmed me. 2 days later, I was dusting when David came home exhausted. When did everything get so screwed up, Mom? He asked, watching me clean. When did you first notice I was unhappy? I replied. He admitted he'd seen it for months, but avoided the truth to avoid conflict. Dad would be ashamed of how I've let Nora treat you. I took a breath. I've been offered a job at Mitchell and Associates. His eyebrows rose. By the man from dinner. We knew each other 39 years ago. I worked at his law firm. We had an affair. It ended badly, and I switched to nursing. David processed this, shock giving way to respect. And now he's offering you a job. A feels guilty. It's complicated. Nora's voice interrupted. Whose Mercedes is in our driveway? James stood at the door with flowers, looking determined. I came to discuss a job opportunity with Maggie. Nora's jaw dropped. What job could she be qualified for? Anger flared. One requiring intelligence and competence. Qualities you think I lack. James stepped in. Maggie's one of the most capable people I know. I'm offering her a senior position. Nora connected the dots. You two had an affair. Yes, I admitted 39 years ago. It's past tense, and he's offering a job, not a relationship. Nora's accusations escalated, but I'd had enough. You're right, Nora. This situation is inappropriate. Not because of James, but because you've treated me like hired help for 18 months. I never treated my husband's mother this way. I never humiliated someone in their son's home. David's face paled. Mom, that's not true. It is, and I'm done. I turned to James. I accept the job. I'll be out by the weekend. Nora sputtered, but David's silence said everything. Moving day brought crisp October light and possibility. James found me a one-bedroom apartment downtown. Hardwood floors, windows that opened. David helped with boxes, avoiding Nora's absence. This place suits you, Mom, he said. Are you sure about working for him? I'm sure I need to work. The history is just history. He looked worn, stress etching his face. Nora is angry since you left. Says you've poisoned me against her. Have I? No, you've shown me what was already there. James arrived with champagne to welcome me. We set ground rules. Our past stayed in the past. Our relationship professional. He outlined my role at Mitchell and Associates, client meetings, real responsibility. As he left, he mentioned a company car. It's not charity, Maggie. It's standard. I wondered if we could keep things purely professional with so much history between us. 3 days later, I started at Mitchell and Associates. My office on the 10th floor had a city view and a nameplate, Margaret Harrison, Senior Client Relations Manager. The work was challenging, tapping my legal knowledge and healthcare experience. I thrived negotiating disputes and earning respect. You're wasted on client relations. My assistant, Linda, said, you should run this place. I was content running my own life. A small apartment, a modest salary, meaningful work. It felt like luxury after 18 months as Nora's burden. David's calls grew strained. Nora had issued ultimatums, cut me off or she'd leave. Seeing you reminds me what self-respect looks like, he admitted. 2 weeks later, he appeared at my office, haggard. Nora filed for divorce. Relief and guilt warred in his voice. She demanded I choose between you and her. I chose to be the man Dad raised me to be. It's not your fault, I said. Marriages shouldn't require cutting out family. He smiled weakly. She wants half of everything, including the house. I might need a smaller place. My couch is available. I teased. He laughed, a rare sound. James entered, interrupting with a contract crisis. We handled it together, our professional rhythm seamless. You were right about this job, I told him later. I'd forgotten how much I loved this work. You're better than I hoped, he said, smiling. And I have another proposition. He offered me a partnership to run Mitchell and Associates. Full authority, a substantial salary. Why? I asked. Because 39 years ago, I destroyed your career. This is your chance to build something extraordinary. I needed time to think. That evening, on my balcony with a glass of wine, I watched the sunset. James's offer sat on my table, a chance to transform my future. David texted dinner tomorrow. I have news. I replied, my place 700. I'll cook at 68. I was excited for the future, not because a man offered to change my life, but because I'd remembered I could change it myself. I was just getting started.